5, we making up plays. You talking the game, get you to the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics living the same. All presentation, sports information. Hitting the airways, taking the nation. Sport all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays.
And welcome to the latest episode of Real Talk. I am your host, Mr. Bond Chronicles, and I got my man Dev here with me. Dev, what's going on, brother?
What's happening with you, Ray, man? How you feeling today, Doug?
Oh, man, today was a good day. Today was an amazing day because last night was full of amazing takeaways, and it was a good weekend. My fighters won, my basketball teams, they ain't really my teams, but the teams I wanted to win won. So I'm good. I'm in a happy place. Yeah. How about you? How you liked what you saw, or you?
Nah, I ain't even gonna hold you. The Suns really disappointed me, man. These guys didn't even show up for warm up, man. I'm so disappointed in my man Devin Booker.
Yeah, it was not his best effort. And looks like we got the Pulitzer Prize winning Kenny. Coach, you on with us?
Must be still trying to get on.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll get you in here in a minute, but we're just going to start at the top. Definitely the name that was on everyone's tongue at the end of the Suns' loss, collapse. I don't know what all you want to call it, but there was a time when most people felt, or a lot of people felt like the Suns might sweep the Mavs. And just that quickly, Chris Paul strikes again. The Suns go down in 7 in epic fashion. And it's what I've been saying. So I was right and I was wrong in this series. So I've been saying I'm not a Chris Paul guy. Me and others have had debates about this top 5 nonsense, this point guard BS that they've called and quoted this man as being. And he wasn't. He had a huge game, 14-14, but that sounds like forever ago at this point. And Devin Booker didn't come along or didn't leave. Chris Paul didn't come along, and it was just a disastrous end to have a bad game from like everybody. Like everybody was just off, offense and defense. And Luca was Luca. Luca cooked as he's been cooking, and he put him out the pasture and he put him out the misery in dramatic fashion. Brunson came along for a ride. Dinwiddie had a sighting, and Dallas did what Dallas does. So my question for you, Dev, is how does this impact Chris Paul's legacy, and what does Phoenix do next?
Well, I'm gonna just say Chris Paul played like this. It's trash. I think it puts a little stain on his legacy. I'm not gonna say it tarnish it, because now Chris Paul is now 0-5 when he's 2-0, leading the series, and it's just not looking good. I see him coming back next year, running with the Suns. But they need to find a third score. If they don't have a third score, then the Suns is going to have another abysmal year. Good in the off, right? That again.
Who's the second scorer?
Chris Paul was the second scorer throughout the regular season. He was the second scorer, but when you don't have Mikal Bridges show up, when you don't have Jay Crowder show up, when neither the Cam brothers show up, nobody showed up. There's nobody. I don't even think Monty showed up. It just, the Suns going to have to find another score if they're going to compare with Devin Booker. And I got to go ahead and give you credit when y'all said Aiden was not the answer. I tried to fight for this guy, and he showed me yesterday that he is not one of the top 10 big guys in the league. He let Dwight Powell, who was not even a true center, guard him and make sure that he wasn't even valuable in the game. So the Suns are going to have to do a lot of rebuild, and I can kindly go ahead and say that Aiden's not a max player. Well, at least not with the Suns. He can be a max player, maybe with the Magics, Knicks, or any other team somewhere in that nature. But as far as the Suns, I think he's going to be the outside looking in. They're going to be trying to rebuild again around Devin Booker.
Okay. Kenny, you with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. We've just been talking really about, the Chris Paul situation, Phoenix, and what they do next. So how does this impact his legacy, and what does Phoenix do next?
This definitely impacts his legacy, and unfortunately, he's going to, kind of fall into that category. Well, at least that's the way it's going. He's going to fall into that category with the Charles Barkleys, the Patrick Ewings, the Karl Malones, the John Stocktons, that guys that have had played at a high level for a long time and are no question Hall of Famers, but it doesn't look like he's going to be a champion. I think that there's a few things that are going on, and in terms of going forward, I think there's a couple of things that they're going to have to really think about. Is that one, they're going to have to really decide like what is the future of this team. Devin talked about how DeAndre Ayton didn't show up and the whole team didn't show up. But they're going to have to really decide who are the building blocks for this team. If they're going to commit to DeAndre Ayton and Devin Booker as the future of this team, then they're going to have to, make that decision. And then that also, I think that's going to mean there's going to be some adjustments in terms of how their style of play. And like, to Devin's point, it's a tough decision to make because you're not sure whether or not DeAndre Ayton is a franchise player, or if he's a building block that you can build around. Sorry about that.
We can't hear you.
I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry. So that's the thing. That's the challenge. Like, you already know that Devin Booker is your guy, and you believe that he's going to be your building block. But you got to decide who's going to be that second building block. You already signed. What's the young fellas? Mikal Bridges. You signed him. He's going to have to take a step forward. A lot of these guys are going to have to, they're going to have to really look at this roster and decide what they're going to be going forward, because you can't count on Chris Paul to be he's got to be either your third or fourth best option. He can't be your second best option at this age. And I don't think they're going to win a championship with him as their second best option. It's either going to have to be, you're either going to have to commit to Ayton and really, really feature him as a part of the offense, or you're going to have to move on. I think that's where it is right now. And I think that's where the frustration kind of came out. Everybody was, and to Devin's point, nobody showed up. Everybody was struggling. There was a lot of bad, they were playing tight. I had tweeted that they were tight and they had no rhythm to their offense whatsoever. Every possession it seemed like it was either a rush pass or a rush shot. They had no rhythm to their offense, and it just manifested itself. And so I just think that there's a lot of questions that they're going to have to answer, and it's going to be some tough decisions that's going to have to be made.
No, I think that's well said. I definitely think they're not tough to me, but there are decisions that they will have to make about their future. They did give Bridges the money. I think he's worth the money they gave offensively and defensively. Obviously, you understand the impact that Chris Paul has, and a lot of the team functions will have to change because of the way things are currently set up. So I said before, and maybe it wasn't on here, it might have been on the other show, I think Cam Payne has the ability to lead that team and be a point guard. I think we've seen that when given the chance, when given the freedom to be himself, he performed well. I liked what I saw. Obviously, there could be more that he can learn and grow from. Chris Paul's in the contract, I believe, for 2 more years, so he's not going anywhere. I think he's in that Russell Westbrook, John Wall category, maybe even the James Harden category, at least for next year, with these massive deals that you can't do nothing with. And none of them can really be traded from one another because they all play the same position. So I think it's a tough road to try and get out of. I'm sure LeBron would probably trade Russ for CP3, but I don't see why Phoenix would do that. So I definitely think there's opportunity for Phoenix. I've said from the beginning, and I still stand by, Ayton is not a max deal guy. He's a good guy. He's, maybe a top 15 big, but you at his age, if you didn't max him last year, I didn't see anything this year that says, oh, he earned a max deal. So somebody, I believe someone could give it to him. I think Damian Lillard might have liked the post where he went there. Ayton went to Portland. I think he's valuable on the right team, but I think the price point has to be right. For Chris Paul, for me, and I think for a lot of people, this kind of solidifies he's not that guy. He's not in that top 5 category. He hasn't done enough individually. He hasn't done enough. His teams haven't won enough, and they've had too many bad losses. The most 2-0 leads blown. He's like 0-6, I think, in his last 6 game 7s. Like, you can't. I'm sorry?
0-5. He 0-5 now, but that loss yesterday.
Is it on 5? Okay. 0-4, 5, 6, whatever it is. Too many. You can't do that when you were the 1 seed by a long shot. And the team got better record-wise when you were out. Now, obviously, there's value that he provides, but I think it was the biggest culprit for this series. Like, he didn't shoot inefficiently. He just didn't shoot. There wasn't enough volume. There wasn't a single fourth quarter I think we can look at where we say he really took over like we had seen in the series before. And I think a lot of that is because he wore down. Like, I think part of it was Alvarado wore him down. And he started off this series decent, but once they put Bullock on him, started picking up, and him having to play defense, and Luca started picking him out, he just wasn't enough.
Brunson, whoever, all of them started going at him.
He became, the target. So I think he has to look, and he says we'll be right back. He's coming back. Well, he's like 40 million reasons to come back. He'd be an idiot not to. But the team, they were in the finals last year. They're in the what? This isn't the championship. I don't know.
Semis.
I think this is their ceiling. I think Memphis will be better. Golden State's Golden State. I think the Clippers will be better. Minnesota should get better.
If the Suns don't find a second score,
don't forget
if they can't find somebody that can score with Booker,
MPJ coming back. That's
Yeah,
team that you got to look out for.
So I think it only gets tougher for them. And then the Lakers are still the Lakers. LeBron's still LeBron. If they can work some magic, maybe they can figure something out. So I think the window is closed on him winning a ring as a contributing factor. Could he get one maybe 2 or 3 years if he hangs on after this deal is up and signs a 1-year deal to go somewhere as a reserve? Maybe, but I don't think he is what he is. So it's kind of one of those situations where I think that window has closed for him. And unfortunately, I think he will be in that group of people that never won a title. I don't have him as high as Barkley for me, but he definitely did have his time. So it is what it is.
To be fair, but also to be fair though, when he finishes up, he's going to have crazy. When he finishes up, he's going to have. I think he's going to be top 5 or maybe top top 5 all time in assists. I'm not sure where he'll be in terms of scoring. I don't think he'll be that high in terms of that, but I think he'll be top 5 or top 10 in steals as well. So he'll have some stats that will definitely put him in an elite class. But then the question is will people look at it as a compiler, or you know what I mean? So it's tough, man. I just it's just. I love CP3. He's like the last of a dying breed in terms of that pure point guard. So I just hate to see him go out like this.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one, Kenny, man, because like I said, I'm a big fan of CP3. I've been watching him since Wake Forest. So, and I always believed that he was just one move away from actually, getting a ring. I think he kind of should have did it with the Clippers when he had, that good team, and I believe he should have did it last year also. I think that was his window right there, and no not going because it's a lot of players that don't even sniff a championship. So and like Carmelo is another guy that we might have to throw in this conversation too.
Definitely.
Great score, great basketball player, but he just could never just find that right team or that right chemistry to actually put him in that championship, contention. New York, maybe Denver that one year when they had the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals, but other than that, Melo was never put in the opportunity to actually, win or compete for a championship. And CP3 is also going to actually kind of be in that window too. I think his window is closed now because, like y'all said, Memphis is going to get better. Even New Orleans, is going to get better. Whether they even have Zion or not, just a 4-year with CJ McCollum and Brandon Ingram. So the West is going to actually be almost a 10-team conference as you trying to get in. So if you're not 10 teams, then I don't really see
it. David, I think that's a valid question.
That's a great question.
I'm gonna have to ride with Harden. I'm gonna have to ride with Harden, kind of, just a little bit.
He had 31 2 games ago when he was playing 16 in the fourth.
Yeah, but outside that one time that him and CP3 was in the Western Conference Finals, how many times that James Harden really made it past the second round?
CP3's always had significantly more help.
True, but James Harden also he had help at times because he started off the Clint Capella.
I was about to, but before that, let's not forget he was on that OKC team with KD, Harden, and Ibaka,
and he got to the finals.
I'm just saying, and he didn't show up in the finals. That was one of the reasons why they lost.
Right.
I mean,
so
none of them did, but I got you. And they shouldn't have won.
I say Harden. So to answer his question, I say Harden had a not worse, but
and Chris Paul was up 2-0 in the finals, just for clarity.
Sure, but Chris Paul did make it to the finals.
Yeah,
he did.
Are we talking about overall? Or are we talking about this year?
Oh, I was going overall.
Yeah, I was going overall.
We can go either both. I think my answer is the same for both. I think when James Harden got traded, we all had an idea of what James Harden was. Most people thought Brooklyn won the deal because they got rid of James Harden.
I was kind of one of them.
But wait, though, let's not act like we wasn't talking about after the first few games about this great combination that Joel Embiid and James Harden was going to be. So let's not.
I'm not on tape co-signing that, but there were people. Shaq has come out and said how upset he was about the Shaq and Kobe comparison. So no, there were some idiots that said some crazy things. And in the moment, people get excited, and you think back with Morey and them that you can get that hold Harden back. But that Harden's gone too. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's a case where both are who they were, and I will pour some out for James Harden as well, because I think his time is come and gone. I don't think he cares nearly as much as Chris Paul did about it, but the fact remains is I think their windows have closed. I think neither will. I don't see James getting re-upped for a max deal. Philly has basically said as much as well. I just think they were two players that underperformed on the biggest stage, but individually, if you count him as a point guard, I would still take James Harden's career over Chris Paul's. So for that reason, I got to lean Chris Paul in this conversation, but I think it's close for sure.
I think only you can get that because, Harden was MVP, of the league. But, like, outside of...
And it wasn't just
and
that
they're two totally different players, too. So.
Yeah, that's why I was going to say, but you got to think, each team that Chris Paul got on was at least a playoff team, whether he had to drag them or they was already a good built-around team, but at least Chris Paul made the playoffs every team that he went to. So, that's why I said it's kind of, that was a hard question to, kind of answer.
You can make a case for either one.
Yeah.
But I just feel like Chris Paul is viewed as a leader. So I think you hold him to a little bit higher of a standard, and he regularly underperformed. And the injury piece, like sometimes he just wasn't available, which is unfortunate. So I do want to take a brief detour on the Chris Paul train. Pat Bev was on ESPN this morning, and
my man made a career today.
Just Dev, it sounds like you watched. Kenny, did you get a chance to hear any of what?
I heard him.
So Damian Lillard has come out and said he went too far. Others may have felt away about how Pat Bev went at Chris Paul. Do you guys believe it was inbounds or out of bounds the way he talked about a fellow brother in the NBA? I'll start with you, Kenny.
Yeah, I think he was a little disrespectful. You called the man a cone like that. That's yo, man. That's disrespectful, man. That's basically saying like you're not even an impediment at all. Like so, like that was a little disrespectful. And then we know Pat Bev. That's his thing, though. He was kind of on brand in terms of trying to talking the way he plays on the court, just getting under people's skin. So I think he was just on brand, but he was that was a little disrespectful. And if I'm Chris Paul, I'm ignoring that because there's no comparison when it comes to my career and your career. So I'm not going to stoop down to that level. But he was definitely disrespectful.
Dev?
Pat Bev did to get out of his family. that was his first to form because it looked like he just poured all his Chris Paul, whatever he dealt with Chris Paul, all on the air today. And you can see that trade, whatever to bring Chris Paul over, and Pat Bev had to, shoot whatever he had to go at. That affected him. That really hurt his feelings, and you can just see it all on TV now. Some of the stuff he was right. Sometimes some people do shy away. They figure, oh, it's Chris Paul. He kind of don't do no wrong, so that's kind of give him a pass. And today was the day that somebody had to put Chris Paul out there and was like, look, dog, you didn't show up. You don't show up on these games. You ain't been showing up previous years, and how you gonna be called the point guard if you ain't showing up? But I think Pat Bev, like Kenny said, kind of just went a little bit disrespectful, and like I said, he just let his feeling get the best of him on air, and he was just trying to make a name for himself quick out there because, like I said, he was entertaining. He had some funny statements, but I don't think you should call that man out. Then you talk about him being the president of the the NBA and all this other stuff, and it was just too much failure.
So first let me say, I think because it was on brand, I don't have a problem with it. Draymond went at Kendrick Perkins the other day. Charles Barkley and others have, when you're in that role, we have seen people in that role be hypercritical of other players. I think because as a current player, we look at it different. But when Stephen A does it, if Skip Bayless do it, if Shannon Sharp do it, if other talking heads do it, we don't bat an eye. So for that reason, I think it was inbounds. And then I think it was also inbounds because it wasn't like this was some quiet guy that doesn't talk and now he's just talking crazy. Like, he also said he got benched. He talked about, like, I got benched. So Chris Paul was one that should have got benched, and I don't think he said anything wrong. Do I think he went over the top and it maybe, for the role? Sure. Calling him a cone, I think that's a little much. But the benching, I can't argue with that. And some of the other things he said as far as people not being scared of Phoenix, I don't think that's necessarily not true either. Like, I don't think there's anyone over there other than Booker that really scares you. And I don't think he's viewed like that.
But ain't no team. What team in the league is anybody scared of? Like, to me, that point was not valid for me because I don't see any team. There's no team in the league that nobody's fearing.
We saw people.
There's no clear-cut favorite right now.
But what makes you a scary team? Because each team in the playoffs really has a star. Dallas got Luca. The Suns had D Booker. Boston has Tatum. Miami has, I guess you can put Jimmy Buckets in there.
Oh no, I gotta give it to him.
So each team has a star, so you already know what you're getting into as if you are really scouting this team and this player. So what is there to be scared of? What is the scary team?
I disagree completely. I think if I'm a superstar, I don't want to play Boston right now. I saw what they did to Kevin Durant and Giannis. Like, I think.
So you think that's going to affect Miami? You think Miami's going to have that mindset to say?
I'm not talking about Miami. You're saying who in the league? I think of the elite teams that were left this past round, I think those teams would concern people. I don't think Miami scares other people because I don't think many people are worried about their ability to score.
I don't think the Celtics scare anybody. You ain't even believe in them. So
I didn't.
The teams are going to be
right. So how can you say they're one of the most scariest teams?
I believed in Phoenix. I thought they could do it, but according to him, and from what we see, people, when you think Golden State, you think something. Like I believe Golden State. If they're shooting,
I just hope that Golden State ain't shooting, ain't on a hot streak tonight.
Did the Grizzlies play like they were scared of Golden State? They went at them.
But that's Golden State. I mean, that's Memphis. I don't think most teams. Did you see Denver play them? Because Denver didn't look like they wanted nothing to do with Golden State.
They just couldn't. They didn't have no firepower for Golden State.
That's where the fear comes in. That is the
how's
fear.
That fear? How's that? So you telling me if they had scores just like Golden State, it wouldn't be fear? I mean, they wouldn't have fear.
If you believe I'm better or comparable, then no, I don't.
But you got it. But you have the MVP of the league, though.
Huh?
You have the MVP of the league. So what is that to be scared of?
And we know he shouldn't have been MVP. And that team wasn't good enough.
But the NBA said that he was the most valuable player of the league. So why does Denver have to be scared of Golden State? I have the most valuable player.
If they weren't scared, they should have been. Because it looked like they should have been. They didn't belong on the same court as them.
No, that's because of different coaching style, and Denver was hurt.
That's why you're scared.
Yeah, I think there's
but why should I be scared?
Yeah,
because you will get beaten and embarrassed.
Yeah, it was just bad matchup.
Being scared.
No.
Yeah, you're not scared. Oh, hey Ray, so you telling me You go on the court right now, and you see nothing but and one or good street ball players that's out here right now. You telling me you ain't stepping on that court?
I'll get on the court, but I also know we're probably gonna lose.
I don't want you on my team, man. I don't like how you thinking, man. You got to go. Can we go to the next subject, please? You just hurt. You just killed me.
You have to have some kind of realistic understanding of who you are. That's
real. I understand. So
gambling is knowing who's going to win and who's going to lose.
But you're still taking a risk.
Of course, there's always a risk. But
so it's the risk. It's the risk that these guys might not win, though.
Hold on, y'all.
Yeah, they might have a bad shooting night.
But I was just about, but hear me out right quick. We know that there's, and then we were just talking about a guy, Pat Beverly. Like, there's a lot of guys that have irrational confidence, and that's throughout the league. It's a bunch of guys, and so I can't see that there's nobody that they're gonna be coming into this where they're gonna be any fear. I just don't see it.
Yeah, okay. I'm with Kenny. You on your own on this one, Ray. as Pride would say, man, you being different on this one.
Pride be talking crazy anyway. But staying with the Phoenix Suns just for a little bit, Devin Booker went from a nobody this year to he should be in the MVP race to it's too bad he got left out to is he overrated? So who is Devin Booker in the hierarchy of basketball elites, the face of the NBA, the future? Where's Devin Booker fall for you, Devin?
Devin Booker is not the elite player just yet. I think he has to overcome another good season. But he's top two.
Where do you put him? Is he?
I put him in the second tier. I put him on the second tier. I put him. DeRozan. I guess you could throw DeRozan. Maybe like a Trae Young also maybe in that tier also maybe. Yeah, because like I said, Trae is not bad, but Devin Booker is his game is more smooth than Trae. I think Trae sometimes forces his scoring and he throws up shots. You be like, oh, come on, why are you doing it? Versus Devin Booker, you can just see that the offense is pretty much flowing through him. He's not throwing up shots just because I'm just trying to pat in my stats. It's just that the offense is actually going through him and they trying to play through Devin Booker. But Devin Booker also, like you said, he was, out of nowhere. It wasn't for that bubble that year. I'm pretty sure Phoenix wouldn't get that much exposure or people will still question who is Devin Booker. Once Devin Booker got in that bubble, he actually showed who is Devin Booker. I'm coming. It's just like how Jason Tatum was in that bubble. He was saying that I'm coming. He was just one block away from, by Bam blocking him. He had to take a little step back to say, all right, my time is not here yet. But I'm coming. Now at least I consider Jason Tatum as an elite player now. Now he didn't show he can play against Kevin Durant. He showed that he can play against Giannis. And depending on how he play against Jimmy Butler and Bam and get his revenge on from 2 years ago, we now might be saying that Tatum might be in that top 5 category now. But as far as Devin Booker, he's top 10, but we just need to see a little bit more out of him.
Okay. Kenny, your thoughts?
I think Devin Booker is going through a similar process that a lot of guys before him have gone through. And I'm gonna just name a few that have had some playoff heartache or some playoff agony. Isaiah Thomas with the Celtics and the and the Lakers. Magic Johnson with the Celtics. Michael Jordan with the Pistons and the Celtics. Kobe Bryant, before he ascended, he had his playoff struggles as well.
With the Jazz.
Exactly. So and even them getting swept before Phil Jackson came in. And that game against Phoenix, I think it was either game 6 or where they got smacked and got blown out, and he barely, he didn't. I think he took like maybe 10 or 15 shots or something like that. That everybody was down on him about, and even Giannis. There was some questions about him because he had a couple of years where he came up short, and there was questions being asked, and then once they went through those struggles and they ascended to that elite level. So I think that's where Devin Booker is at right now, is that he's had some playoff heartache, he's had some playoff agony, and it's going to propel him to that next level, because it's not always, everybody's not fortunate. It's only one Magic Johnson, the only one. He's the only one that came in the league and started winning from the door. So I just think that this is a part of his process of becoming great, and this is just going to make him that much more hungry. And I don't think we've seen him be exposed per se, but we've seen him now just come up short in 2 big spots. And so this next year is really going to tell a story, because like Devin said with Jason Tatum, he's had a couple of heartaches in the playoffs as well, where he's come up short in these Eastern Conference Finals, and this will be his third try at trying to advance to the finals. So this is just one of those, it's just a natural progression a lot of times, and I think that's what we have here with Devin Booker.
I agree with most of that. I think top 10's fair. I know I've said it a bunch. I'm still not there yet. What Boston? I don't think you're going to get another 18 3 attempts from Grant Williams. And I think Devin Booker's biggest problem is his number 2 didn't come along for the ride. I think we saw that with Giannis when Drew Holiday offensively struggled. It just wasn't enough. He could put up 42 and 20, but you need somebody offensively to step up. And Luca got that. Brunson finally got going. Finney-Smith, Bullock or whatever his name is. He changed his name to, I guess. And even Dinwiddie, Kleber had a game or two where he got hot. So that,
to me,
I love
seeing Spencer Dinwiddie go off last night.
I mean, when Washington first signed him, I was happy. I thought he was underutilized. I was surprised that Brooklyn let him go, but I knew he had the injury. I know what he's capable of. You just don't know when you're going to get it. And we saw that in this series. And he finally got going early, and shout out to him. So I'm happy for him. I liked him. He wasn't going to get us anywhere we needed to go. I think Booker's problem is he's on a team with a bunch of good guys, but you got to have another really good to great to go along with you, and he didn't have that. Ayton's not that. Bridges offensively is not consistently enough. That Crowder, he needs another guy that can go get a bucket. Jason Tatum got Jaylen Brown. What is it? Giannis has Middleton and Holiday. Steph got Poole and Curry. I'm sorry, Poole and Thompson. Brunson can go get his own shot. Phoenix didn't have anybody else that can go get their own shot. They didn't have anybody that could throw the ball to in the post to get a bucket. They couldn't get any easy shots. Everything was deep threes. Chris Paul the pick and roll wasn't there. No lob dunks. Like it dried up. So I think that's his biggest problem right now is they got to figure out what to do. They got a contract available. They got a max slot because Ayton may or may not sign back. And then you got to figure out what to do with Chris Paul. But as it's currently constructed and with them paying Bridges, and I just don't know that they have that. And I think losing someone like McGee would be a big loss for them. So I agree. I think his struggles are there, but I just don't really see a way forward with currently how the roster is constructed. A CJ McCollum would be great for him. Somebody that could come in and give him a break and get a bucket. And they just don't have that on the roster right now. So we'll see. Campaign Mike could become that. I don't think next year would be that, but they just gotta.
He's a guy.
I don't know what's up with you in this campaign, guy.
He's a guy.
Campaign. Yeah, he is not that.
Y'all ain't seeing it. Y'all ain't seeing it. He came in last game and finally got going. You just gotta let him play.
Where was he at? Where was he at this game?
They benched him. They wouldn't play him. They kept playing Chris Ball.
Because he was going to do the same thing
I was
Paul
about to
was
say it's going
going
to be worse.
Man.
They couldn't.
But he can shoot. He can spread the floor. He's willing to take shots.
But he's a liability on defense too.
Yeah, that was the problem.
Okay, well, you can't. Of course, you don't put him on Luca. Like, but that's what Bridges for.
All they were going to do was just set picks.
All they're going to put him in the pick and roll and
Blitz
put him in the switch.
Let Dinwiddie beat him 1-on-1.
Well, that was. We'll get into it, but that was to me. That was the biggest, like in terms of Monty Williams, the biggest adjustment that he didn't make was that, especially in Game 7, they were blitzing Booker every time he got the ball, and they never did that short roll. They never moved it to the weak side and attacked 3-on-2, and that's what killed them. He was trying to spread out that pick and roll and trying to beat it on his own, and they never made that quick ball reversal to be able to take advantage of the numbers that you would have on the weak side. So I was surprised in terms of them not making that adjustment, because you saw Jason Kidd, and it was great. I love seeing that one where they showed him in a possession where he was coaching them through the defense, and you could see as soon as a Booker caught it, trap, it was getting the ball out of his hands.
That was the real MVP of that series, was Jason Kidd, and that was the biggest loss that the Lakers, really showed that they missed, was Jason Kidd's ability to know the game.
Absolutely.
So last one we got is DeAndre Ayton, and not only did they not extend him last year, but during the game he was benched. Monty Williams says it's an internal issue. By reports we've heard, Monty said he quit on him. For whatever reason, he didn't play. So if you're Phoenix, coming off of that, and I think I'll take a quick moment to say that's the difference between coaching. Doc Rivers probably says something. Monty Williams doesn't. He saved at least the public relationship. Now they got to figure it out privately, but that's coaching and leadership. But given that did happen, where is DeAndre Ayton next year, Devin? He's a restricted free agent.
If Phoenix is not looking to put him in the offense, then he's not going to be there next year. I don't know where exactly he's going to be, but he's not going to be there. Because like I stated earlier, you got the white power on you. The white power is not a true center. He's just an athletic big man that, just so happens just to make it on the team. Not to knock on his credibility making the league, but at the same time, he's not in the same category as DeAndre Ayton, in my opinion. I think Ayton should have been eating against the white power. I think he should have been dominant. I think he should have left that game with at least 30 and 20. And him not doing that, and that's why I think where Monty Williams say he quit it on. He's seen that you have a guy that don't belongs on you. That's almost like having a guard on you, and you supposed to been eating. You supposed to been calling for the ball. You supposed to been in that post. You supposed to be setting these hard screens. But Ayton didn't do none of that. All he did was throw his hands up from time to time, tried to set a weak screen, and he just faded away like Jordan Jumper. And I don't think that's going to work for Phoenix. But on the other side, Monty Williams going to have to also learn how to, if you want him to dominate the game, you're going to have to actually put some plays in for him to dominate the game. Not just keep setting screens. Let the man get down the block and sit on the block and post up. I believe Ayton can be almost like an Embiid almost, that especially down in the block.
What?
But if
he got to prove that on a consistent
basis.
He's
gonna have. I'm not saying that he is Embiid, but I'm saying that he's capable of being a dominant force down in that block if everything's set up right for him. But if Phoenix, if those two can figure out whether they're going to put an offense in for him and he need to be more aggressive, He's going to be outside somewhere else looking, getting that max deal.
Go ahead, Kenny.
Yeah, I think it's going to be it's going to be one or two things. Either you're going to commit to him or you're going to have to do a sign and trade. I think that's their only two options because I don't see, if you let him walk, I don't see where you're going to be able to get a free. When is the last time that a big free agent signed in Phoenix? They haven't been able to attract any marquee free agents to come out there. And I don't know that having a agent Chris Paul and a Devin Booker, is that going to be enough to attract a major free agent? And as a matter of fact, I don't even think there's any big free agents in this particular upcoming class that I can think of. So I think they kind of they got to do one or the other. And I think if I'm DeAndre Ayton and I'm his agent, I'm coming into the meeting and or the exit meeting or whatever the case is with Monty Williams, and like, look, either I'm going to be a consistent part of this offense, or just let me walk. Like, they're going to have to decide one way or the other, because you can't just and you can't just expect to get the ball on a roll, like Devin said. Like, there's going to have to be some times where they actually really run some offense for him. Like, it can't just be lobs. It can't just be rim runs. Like, that's one of the things that you learn as a guard, is to keep your big man engaged. You get him those touches. When he gets those touches, then he starts to protect you on the defensive end. And I think that's where the whole thing was, is that he got frustrated that he wasn't getting the ball, and then he checked out of the game. What's up, Trotter? So I don't. They're gonna have to make a decision one way or the other. Either it's gonna be a sign and trade, or they're gonna have to commit to him. But it can't be just letting him walk. They have to do one of those two things, in my opinion.
And I say, good riddance. Get him out of there. I think there's a bunch of landing spots for him. I think it'll be highly valuable. I think Charlotte.
Oh yeah,
you could use someone like him. I think.
Oh, absolutely.
Even Dallas. Like, I know they just played him. I think
for sure
Dallas would be a great fit for what he
Portland
offers.
I think that's why Dame Lillard like that. Because he would love
Portland.
to have him up there in Portland too.
So yeah, I think there's the problem with Portland.
Because I think Julius Randle. I think Julius Randle's on the out. I think he's done.
Over the front line that we have, definitely Nerlens Noel and Mitchell Robinson. I take him over both of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that might be something if you could package, Randall and Robinson for Ayton. The money should in the sign and trade, because I don't think Mitch is making too much money.
Yeah. And now, honestly, that might be a good move, because now Julius Randle is not a true number one in New York, and Booker need help, and I believe Julius Randle can, take some load off of Devin Booker, so that might be a good move.
Yeah, I can see that. But no, I like I said, I think the experiment has run its course, and more power to him. Wish him the best, but I need more out of my big man. But speaking of, the NBA season, and you said people ain't scared of Golden State. People ain't scared of nobody. Dallas is the fortunate winner. They get Golden State, and by one game, Golden State will have home court. They won 53 games. Dallas won 52. So it's very interesting how that worked out. Obviously, teams pretty evenly matched. Dallas won 3 out of 4 this year versus Golden State. So, Kenny, what we got? Dallas get it done? Does Golden State return back to form? What you got coming out of this series?
Man, it's a lot of intriguing matchups. I think it's going to be really interesting to see what Golden State does defensively against the Mavericks. I think that's the biggest thing that I'm looking at, because do you put Draymond on Luca? What do you do with Steph Curry? Because they're gonna, I promise you, they're gonna do the exact same thing to Chris Paul like they did to Steph Curry. They're gonna put him in switches and try to get him in mismatches. So it's gonna be really interesting. Steve Kerr is gonna have to really, earn his check because the Mavs are coming in with a whole bunch of confidence, and so I think this is gonna be a really long series, definitely a 6 or 7 game series. But having said all of that, I'm going to go with the experience. I'm going to go with the veterans, and I'm going to pick Golden State in 6 or 7 games.
Okay. So you mentioned what is Golden State going to do with Luca from a defensive standpoint? What does Dallas do with Luca defensively? Who does he guard?
That's a good question. You might put him on Draymond.
So you're gonna go small. You can't play Dwight Powell on the floor if Luka's guarding Draymond.
Well, they have been starting. What's the big guy's name? They started him the last game.
Smith. Who they start?
No. I'm talking about Golden State.
Cleveland.
No. I'm talking about Golden State. They had started the last games.
Oh, Looney.
20 rebounds. Looney. Yeah, Looney. So he could guard him.
Got you. So you said Luka.
Because I don't think you don't.
No, because if Luka's guarding Draymond, then who's guarding Looney? Oh, you're saying
Luka's guarding Looney. Yeah. No. I'm saying Luka guard Draymond and Powell's guard Looney.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. I think that pick and roll puts Dallas in a very dangerous position in either event, but
I think you can play under. I think you can hide Luka on Draymond because Draymond is looking to be a facilitator. He's not looking to score.
Yeah, but I would, if I'm Steve Kerr, the first change is then I don't start Looney. Like Dwight Powell does not scare me offensively. So Looney.
But then if you do that, do you counter? Does Kid counter with starting Dinwiddie?
Right, but then the issue becomes somebody has to guard.
Yeah, that's gonna play that fine. Yeah, it's gonna be a chess match.
Yeah, who can do which better? I think home court will be important. We saw Dallas prove they can go on the road and get it done. Golden State lost at home, so it'll definitely be an interesting series. Devin, what do you think? Who you got coming out?
I like Golden State in 7. I think it's going to be a long, drawn-out series. I think this is the series that Andrew Wiggins really going to have to wake up and take control of the series because as everybody's sitting here saying, well, if we put Luca on Draymond and we put Spencer Dinwiddie on Clay and Jalen Brunson on Steph and all that. Now, who do y'all put on Andrew Wiggins? Do you put Finney Smith? Do you put Bullock on him?
Yeah.
But now that's going to be like a back and forth mess because what if Andrew Wiggins can tire these guys out or get these guys in foul trouble? Now you kind of taking your perimeter defense off, and now Luca can be more exposed. Because now they're going to be trying to switch to everything. And if they can get that right matchup on Luca and have Luca run around here crazy, then it's going to favor Golden State. And then if Golden State have a good good shooting night, it's going to favor Golden State. And I think that's where Dallas is going to have trouble. Now, I'm not saying Dallas is not going to sneak no games out, but who is really, other than Luca, who is going to match points if Golden State gets real hot? If we get that game 6 Clay going early in every game, if Andrew Wiggins play, if Jordan Poole come out being electrifying like he was at the end of the season, and then you got Steph over here shoot, it's going to be very who do you play, and it's going to be switched back and forth, and somebody's going to get exposed. Whether it's Luca, whether it's Finney Smith, whether it's Bullock, whether it's Powell, Kleber, somebody can actually be the only person that might not be really exposed is Spencer Dinwiddie, because I believe he can probably switch on Clay, Steph, and Andrew Wiggins. But if you switch him to Draymond, then that might be a problem. But I really do just see Golden State just having a better players, better team than this series. But like I said, Dallas ain't no slouch. Dallas is going to give you everything that they possibly can give you, and it's going to go. I think it's going to go to 7 games.
I'm torn. I think if Golden State shoots well, this is over in 5. But if they have some of them nights that we've seen them have far too often, I think it goes 6 or 7. I think when Golden State goes small with Steph, Clay, Draymond, Poole, and Wiggins, I don't see how Dallas matches that. I think the difference in the two teams is Clay, Wiggins, Poole, and Steph can all get to the basket. And there's nobody. Dwight Powell, he's cool, but he ain't no stopper back there. So I think,
and you're not gonna throw it to him in a post to try to take advantage of the size of it, So
yeah, he's not a post player. He just athletic.
Like you can't take advantage of them going small. So that's going to be really tough for the Mavs.
Right. I think the biggest issue with when Golden State puts that lineup out is Luca, but I think that's where Wiggins and Draymond will earn their money. When that lineup goes small, I think at the end of the game, you're going to see Draymond on Luca. And we saw with Draymond the best he could do with Jokic in the first round, and then we saw what he did last round. He bothers people. He's great at playing defense without fouling. Now, Luca is shifty. He's strong. He's methodical. And he's effective.
And he's going to have to take on that matchup. You can't be talking about, we were talking earlier in the year about him talking, his comments about him being the greatest defensive player of all time. Like, you got to take on that matchup.
Yeah.
You got to guard Luca. You can't say that and not guard Luca. Like, you got to take on that matchup.
So, definitely, I'm interested to see it. I think it really comes down to Golden State shooting and turnovers. If Golden State comes out and plays like they did in Game 6 where there's focus, I think it's over in 5. If they come out lollygagging, being laissez-faire thinking, hearing this podcast thinking that they can just roll out of bed, hit some shots, and get Dallas out of there, they got a long road ahead of them. I think the fact that they did lose 3 out of 4 this year will play a role. Now, Clay wasn't obviously there for all those games, but if they show up, I think they get it done. So that's my hope, is that we get 2 teams showing up and at a high rate, but they put up 120, but you ain't getting 30 on 11 or 15 from Spencer Dinwiddie again. I don't think we're going to see that. And Brunson and Luca were just unconscious from 3. So we'll see if they can keep that up, but that's the kind of performance they would need. And I just don't know if Dallas can get that consistently enough. I think if we go to the Eastern Conference, if you're Udoka and Tatum and them, you're like a sigh of relief. Like, we just went against Giannis and KD, and now we get Jimmy Butler. Jimmy's good. Jimmy ain't them. Tyler Hero's good. Tyler Hero isn't them. So I think we have a heck of a matchup. 2 teams that I think match up very well. Size-wise, I think they have similar mentalities and skill sets. I think it's going to be a phenomenal series. But what do we have out of Boston? Boston has been GOAT killers. The best players in the world, arguably, both went down in impressive fashion. Giannis put up huge numbers, but the efficiencies just were not there. The offensive fouls were through the roof. So what do you guys got? I know how I feel about Boston, but before I give my thoughts, I'll let you guys go. Kenny, who you got?
Man, I got the Celtics, and I just think that this is another matchup as to you got the three as the it's kind of been the same thing where each team that they've matched up with, their three of their four man is their best player, and they just have the bodies to be able to make life hard for whoever that person is. And I don't think it's going to be any different with Jimmy Butler. I think, and Jimmy Butler's been playing at a high level, and I've had my questions about Jimmy Butler, but he's been playing like a number one in these playoffs. So I got to tip my cap to him. But I think this is going to be a tough series for him because, again, they got so many bodies that they could throw at him. You got three guys literally, between Jason Tatum, between Jaylen Brown. I could see even Marcus Smart spending some time on Jimmy Butler and Grant Williams all spending some time on Jimmy Butler. So I could see that being the same, the issue as to whether or not he's ever going to be able to play at that high level and play consistently at that high level without wearing down. I think kind of that's what we saw with Giannis there in Game 7 was we saw him, especially in the second half, he missed a lot of layups. So I think that's a byproduct of just having to play so hard and then and just trying to muscle your way to the basket. And I think he was overpowering, or he was using too much force, and a lot of those shots, a lot of those touch shots, he wasn't able to finish. So I like Boston's mojo. I like the matchup of how they're able to throw bodies. And I'm really looking forward to this one because I think you got two great coaches. And Udoka is a young coach, but we've seen him, really in terms of their defensive schemes, they really make life difficult for people. And Eric Spoelstra is, the king of throwing different defenses at you. So I think this is going to be a real chess match, and I'm really looking forward to watching this. But I just like the role that the Celtics are on, and I don't think it stops in this round.
Okay. I got Boston. I am going to go ahead and
stop the press.
They keep figuring it out. They keep figuring it out. They've been impressive. They keep saying they can't keep it up, but every time you plug a hole, Grant Williams has a game, Al Horford has a game, Marcus Smart has a game, Peyton Pritchard has a game. Like it's just and then Tatum is Tatum. Robert Williams he's rested. He can't seem to stay healthy, but he's a body. I think he will give Bam. I think him and Horford will give Bam a tough time. And quiet as this cup, I'm not a big Bam guy either. I know I killed Ayton. Bam to me just don't do a lot to me in moments when I think he needs to do it. And I think he's going to be huge in this series. If he don't show up and is that third real option, Kyle Lowry's washed. Like Kyle Lowry's days are long gone. You can sing the swan song for Kyle Lowry. It's been fun, but it's over.
Yo, I gotta stop.
So y'all putting everybody in the grave today, aren't we?
Hey, the time is the time. It is what it is. I don't make the rules. I just watch and I go by what they give me. I think that's it. If Oladipo can come along, maybe, but it's just too many maybes for me with Miami. Tyler Hero is Duncan Robinson back in the rotation. Like they're going to have to be able to shoot the ball, and I think Boston has more. Marcus Smart, we'll see if he's ready for game 1. I'm pretty sure he will be. Spoelstra gonna have him ready. I think it's gonna be a great coaching matchup. But Strus, can he perform at this level? I think is what we really see as we get to that one last step before the finals. Those role players, we saw Grayson Allen just die. He just disappeared. Bobby Portis in that closeout game just wasn't Bobby Portis. So I'm gonna go Boston. I'm gonna go Boston in 6. I don't think they want to go to a game 7 in Miami. So I got Boston in 6, and see what happens. But
They
we
made
do
him
have
a believer.
They did, and this is what I want. When I talk about people like Ayton and Paul and Dinwiddie and the Celtics, I want to be wrong. I want to see top high quality sports and entertainment. I love seeing Grant Williams go off. You know what I'm saying? I love to see it, and so I'm on board now. Don't let me down. Actually, I can't believe I'm saying that because I grew up a Kobe guy and I hate the Celtics, but I got him. I'm going Celtics here. However, for the longest time, I've heard and I've continued to hear Luca for Trae Young. It was a good swap. Luca in Atlanta, Dallas in their
Wait, hold up.
integration.
Did you make your pick?
Yeah, I said Boston.
No, I said Devin. I don't think Devin made his pick.
Oh no,
Devin ain't picked
I
Boston?
didn't. No, I'm
Oh,
going
my
with
bad.
Boston.
I
That's
could have
cool.
sworn he said Boston. My bad.
No, I'm gonna go. I go with Boston. I just don't see no consistency scoring from Miami. I just don't think they have enough firepower to match all the physicality that Boston is dishing out this year. And like I said before, this is Jason Tatum's revenge.
You said they can't handle the physicality of Boston?
I don't think they have enough firepower to handle the physicality. I don't think they got enough body.
Okay.
I think name other than Jimmy Butler and Bam, because you just said Kyle Lowry is washed, and he's probably not even going to play this series, maybe, or maybe about 2 games. Outside of Bam and Jimmy, and maybe Hero, Hero. Who else is going to give you consistent scoring, and that can match up against?
Wow. Look at
the
cat drug.
I didn't even know.
Wow. It's not even like that, Kenny.
Man, that boy, the man became a coach, and now we can't even find him no more. And now he's covering WNBA on press conference and everything. I'm glad you got time for us little people, man.
Hey, man, you know what it is? Kenny, respectfully, bro, Kenny knows how it is. These baseball games, if they were in the morning, I would be here. But these games finish at like 9:30. I don't even be getting
I believe
home.
I believe it.
It'd be crazy, man. It'd be crazy.
Well, Mike, welcome.
So, yeah, man, we was just talking. We talking Eastern Conference. All of us have picked the Celtics. Who you got?
Miami in 6.
Ooh.
Sorry.
Why?
Why? Because I ride with Jimmy Butler till the day I die, and that's the only reason. And it's biased, and it's belligerent, and it's horrible, and it's probably wrong, but I gotta rock with Jimmy, so that's the only reason I'm rocking with Jimmy.
So let me ask you this question: we were saying that the issue, the problem with that Miami's going to have is that they don't have the firepower to deal with the physicality that Boston is going to bring to the table in terms of on the defensive
Raymond
end.
did not say that.
Yeah. I kind of agree with him because I'm just not sure about those guys.
They said that.
I'm not sure about other than I'm with Devin other than Bam and Jimmy Butler. If Kyle Lowry was healthy, we know that he would battle and physicality wouldn't really affect him. But I'm not sure about those other guys. What do you say to that?
I mean, I watched Tyler Hero go tick for tag with Giannis, and I watched a bunch of these guys go with a bunch of guys in the bubble, and it might have been the bubble, and it's a whole different conversation about how you view the bubble. But my big thing is Miami, and I picked them winning the entire thing from the very beginning of the season, and a big part of that was you add in 2 more champions in Kyle Lowry and PJ Tucker. PJ Tucker's as physical as they come.
Yeah.
People forget PJ's a part
I forgot
of
about PJ. Yeah, he'll definitely.
A lot of people forget about PJ. Hey, those 4 points and zeros across the board might not do much for you, but he's a lot more important than people realize, especially that Milwaukee.
That's a great point.
So, I mean, I feel like everybody on that team has championship experience, whether they won a championship or not from the bubble. And then you add in 2 champions. And I feel like if you do get a healthy Kyle Lowry from top to bottom, this team is set. And it's a lot better than than not Milwaukee, than Boston. And I feel like Boston's in a very good place right now. But I think when you look at the roster, Ray, versus Miami, if you put it on paper and you say, okay, which team's the deepest, I would say Miami's deeper. Because you have Tyler Hero coming off the bench. And Tyler Hero's a starter on any other team in this league. I don't care what anybody says. Like, that's the reality.
I mean, he should be a starter in Miami based on roster.
He probably
should. I think I agree with you, Mike. I think they could go a little deeper into their bench for guys than Boston.
They still got Victor Oladipo too, also.
Right. And Duncan Robinson and a bunch of these guys.
Yeah. Even I don't know Markieff Morris on the bench collecting dust.
Yeah.
I forgot all about him. I thought Jokic might have knocked him off the season.
I don't know what happened to my guy Dunk, but I mean, it's been rough, but it's one of those things to where he can catch fire at any moment. And I think Boston's bench, I like Derek White. I like Williams. I like those guys, but I don't think they're as deep as Miami is.
That's fair.
That's just me, though. I think it's going to be a great series, though. But again, it's one of those things where we always think that, this is the series of the year, and then it turns out to be the complete opposite. So I have no idea. What do I know?
So who do you think can match their scoring though in Miami?
You said what?
Who can match in Miami? Who can match Boston's scoring?
Jimmy. It's got to be Jimmy, and I think that's where you're gonna see a different Jimmy Butler. I mean, Jimmy Butler in the regular season averages like 20 points a game, and then he goes into his bag during the playoffs, and right now he's averaging like 35. So like that's just who Jimmy Butler is. He waits for that. He doesn't care about regular season stats. And that's not to say that I think he could average 35 points in the regular season. Yeah, I don't think he can. But he savors that and he waits for that. I think Victor Oladipo will have his moments. I think Tyler Hero has got to be one of those big guys though that really comes off the bench strong. Might even start some games, depending on how Spoelstra wants to go about it. But I think those two really got to just get in their bag. And I want to say Kyle Lowry, but I don't. I think Kyle Lowry's injury is a little deeper than people think.
Yeah, I just don't. And the fact that he re-aggravated it, I just don't. Yeah, I don't see him being
Kendrick Nunn would be a big help right now, and that's a really unfortunate.
Yeah, definitely.
No, I don't think Kendrick Nunn would be a big help. He wasn't a big help for the Lakers this year. So.
Well,
he only played 2 games for us. He only played 2 games for us this year, so.
Did he even play 2 games? I don't even remember.
I didn't think he played. He played 2 games. That was it.
Well, it didn't matter.
Yeah.
But no, I think that's interesting. I did not factor in PJ Tucker, but I just think when it comes down to it, you only can play with 5,
right?
And when you put your best 5 and their best 5 on the court, I like Boston's 5 better.
Yeah,
I like Tatum and Brown and Smart over Jimmy, Bam, and Hero. I'm not the biggest Bam fan, especially not offensively.
Yeah, he's all right. And his job, you know what I mean? Like he's not.
Horford will be able to pull him away from the basket if Williams is not in the game, which I definitely think opens it up for Tatum and Brown to get to the basket. So it's going to be a matter of shooting. I think whoever shoots better wins.
Right.
And we'll just have to wait and see.
I think you made a good point too, though. Like, not to cut you off, but like it depends what Boston 5 you're getting. Because my biggest critique on Jason Tatum, I think Jason Tatum could be the best player in this league, and I truly mean that. But it's just the consistency of which Jason Tatum are you going to get every single night. Because one night he's dropping 10 points, the next night he's dropping 45, and it's like. I need more consistency from Jason Tatum to be able to take that next leap from above average star to a superstar. And that's Victor Bennett, my guy, taught me that myself. I had to learn that with Zach LaVine. I had to humble myself. And it's one of those conversations to where you just need to be real about it and understand, like, if Jason Tatum's not having a night, Jimmy's going to take advantage of that. All of these cats, these are scrappy dudes. They are going to take advantage of that. So I think it just depends which Boston 5 you're going to get, because Al Horford's one of those guys too. Don't get it twisted. Al's hooping, but Kenny and I talked about it all year. Al's not like that consistently. So to be able to go against legitimate defenders, I'm really curious to see, especially after a tough Milwaukee series, how gassed Al Horford might be.
I mean, we saw that in the last game. I think he put up 4 points. He gave him 10 boards. So I think he filled his role as best he could. But I agree. I think coaching will be relatively even. I'm still going to give Spoelstra the nod just because of his experience. But I've been really impressed with Udoka's adjustments that he's made and pushing the right buttons. Because top to bottom, I agree, Miami is deeper. But I like Boston's best five better than Miami's best five. So
yeah,
it'll be curious to see how that goes. And there's a whole lot of role players that's going to be relied on.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the difference. I think that's going to be the difference in the series. I think the winner of this series is whose roles players make the most plays. I think it's going to be the difference in this series because you know what you're going to get.
Vincent, they got to show up.
That's what I mean. Like I think that's going to be key.
Derek White going to have to show up.
Yeah,
White and Williams.
Derek White's going to have to make plays. You know, Grant Williams is gonna have some time because you're gonna if you know anything about Spoelstra, he's gonna try to take something away. So that means it's gonna have to be somebody's gonna get left open, and that's kind of what Milwaukee did.
So do you guys risk? Do y'all risk putting Jimmy on Tatum, or do you send Tucker and some other people at Tatum and let Jimmy rest?
I think he's gonna start. Yeah, I think Tucker's gonna start on Tatum, and then come fourth quarter, crucial possessions and things like that. I think that's when Butler will pick up Tatum.
Dev?
I think PJ's going to start on him.
Yeah, I think PJ is going to do majority of the work, but it also going to depends on who's hot that night between Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown also, because if Jaylen Brown can show that third quarter scoring again, then you're going to have to slide PJ Tucker or maybe Butler over there to play Brown. So it really shows. It's going to have to depend on who really shows up that the most.
Mike,
I think a big part of it is neutralizing Brown. I think you don't waste, and this is no disrespect, but you don't waste PJ and his experience and his just and to keep it PG being a pest. It's on Jaylen Brown. You waste that on
the physicality.
Right. You waste that on Tatum 100%. And I think if Jimmy Butler, who's a top tier defender as well, neutralizes, Jaylen Brown, then you kind of solve a big part of your problem because respectfully, Marcus Smart's not going to step up in that way every single night. It's just not his game. He might give you out of the 7-game series, I'll say 2 to 3 games, he'll give you 20 points, but the other 3 to 4, he's not. And it's like, I think if you can neutralize Jaylen Brown with Jimmy Butler, then it's going to be a cakewalk. The only thing is, which Jason Tatum are you going to get? Because PJ can either hold him to 15 or he's going to get dropped by 40. And there's no in between. And that's like the cop-out answer. But that's really who Jason Tatum in his career is. It's just you don't know which Jason you're going to get. It's either going to be him with Deuce dropping 40, or it's just going to be him on his lonesome kind of taking that sad walk with Jaylen at the end of the game that you always see. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see which version Spoelstra wants to get and how they get that out of Jason. I think is going to be a big one because this is a talkative team. Like that's the part to me where I think, you haven't seen a lot of. Like Giannis isn't talkative. You know what I mean? We already saw how Luca got in all of the Phoenix Suns and Chris Robinson's head. I mean, that was just bad. Chris Robinson thinks the NBA season's over. He ain't even watching it no more. So shout out Chris, but it's one of those things to where the motivation that a guy can bring just by talking trash, it can go a very long way. And I think Miami's one of those teams that could really start problems.
Fair enough. You mentioned Luca and what he did to Phoenix and others. So I think it's time for us to revisit the trade. And I know we started going on there before, Dev. I got you involved, so I'll start with you here. Today, does Atlanta make that deal for Trae Young, or do they keep Luca if they have that same decision today?
I think they keep Luca. No disrespect to Trae, but Luca is showing that each year he's getting better and better. He's checking off boxes of, his conditioning is trash and he's not a legit point guard, or let the refs get into his head and stuff like that. And Luca just consistently showing that he's getting better. And I'm not saying that Trae is not getting better, but Trae is not on the same stature as Luca, in my opinion. I think if we're going to almost consider Luca as a top tier player, I think Trae falls into that second tier, tilting in that third tier just a little bit. Because he hasn't shown that he can get to the playoffs consistently and win playoff series more consistently, like Luca, in my opinion. So I think Atlanta's probably shooting themselves in the foot, upset, stomping on the ground, saying they shouldn't have really made that trade. But at the end of the day, it's still not a bad trade. Trae is still going to be a star in this league. Trae's still going to make some noise down in Atlanta. He's going to need some help down there. I don't think Collins is the true answer for him. But Luca is the better choice, in my opinion.
Kenny?
I don't know if I probably would if I had to pick out of those two, Luca, because of size and strength and those type of things. But let's not forget that this is Luca's first time being out of the first round since he's been in the league. He had been losing in the first round of the playoffs these last few years. So, and Trae did just make a run to these conference finals last year. But I think that you can. I think if you're going to look at those two guys, I think if you wanted to start a franchise with, you probably pick Luca over Trae Young, just because I think he has more of an ability to be able to carry a team than Trae Young. I think Trae Young needs certain things around him because of his size and his stature. So I think if you're picking out of those two and you want to start a franchise, you would pick Luca first and then Trae. But Trae Young is super talented, and I think if you have the right pieces around him, that he can definitely be a winning player.
Okay, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, I've said it for years. I think Luca is going to be the best player in this league for years to come. I think he's the next GOAT conversation. Not that he'll be the GOAT, but I think it's that guy. That's that generational piece that everybody's going to have these conversations about. Everybody has it. It's LeBron, Kobe, Michael. Now there's conversations about Giannis being in it. I think Luca's going to be there right with him. I've always said that about Luca. I think regardless of that fact, the way I view these guys, and it's not a complete comparison of who they are as players, I think of Luca as a LeBron James, to where no matter what team you put him on, I feel like you're going to get these conversations of this guy's going to be one of the best in the league, and we'll see what we can do. We can put any kind of team around him, and it's going to work. Where I view Trae as more of like a young Steph Curry, because Steph Curry and them young Warriors looked like, part of my language, but they looked like shit, and that's what it was. And Steph really wasn't coming into his own yet because he was smaller, because he was skinnier. And I think that's exactly where we're at right now with Trae Young. Is you understand, if you get a couple more shooters around this kid and a real big man, we're having a conversation of a mini Warriors team, not an exact blueprint, but a replica of it. And I think if you can get him his Klay Thompson or his Jordan Poole, then we can have a real conversation, And I could say this because I just can, but these white boys that they think are three-point shooters aren't three-point shooters. I don't care what anybody says. Kyle Hunter or whatever the hell his name is, and Bogdanovich, they're not raw. They're not like that. And that's the reality of the situation. I think I've talked to a lot of people who are Atlanta Hawk fans, and they all think these guys are some of the best three-point shooters in the league, when really Trae carries that team. And I think they really need to, like you guys said with Collins, it's have this conversation of why are we paying these guys this much money if they, one, don't want to be here, or two, don't want to play with Trae. I think you have to completely flip this team on its head and have this conversation of what do we need to do to make Trae good. So I think for what Atlanta wanted out of Trae, they made the right trade. I just think they haven't gone about it the right way in what they're building around him, and I think that's why I think they still do it today.
I think for me it's a no-brainer. I take the bigger, better guy. I understand at the time why the trade was made. This isn't Vlade Divac for Kobe, but I think Luca will be exponentially better than Trae Young at the end of their careers. Trae's size, his inefficiencies as a shooter and as a passer, both of them are relatively high turnover guys, but I think Luca's help is better, has been better. I'm sorry, Trae's help has been better, not significantly, but Capella is better than Powell. I think Horter and Collins and I forget who they traded to. Bogdan and all those guys. I think that group is better than Finney-Smith, Bullock, and we don't even know if Brunson's going to be there next year. So I think Dallas has some decisions to make, but I think Luca has proved what he can do, and I think the real test has been when he played against the best competition, he made him look bad. Whether it was Bridges, whether it was Leonard, whether it was George,
right?
And we've seen We've seen Trae really struggle in the playoffs with certain matchups, and then take him out of his game, and the team just kind of falls apart. So, Mike, to your point, I 100% agree. They go as Trae Young goes. I just don't think Trae can take them nearly as far. And even the run they went on last year, like they beat the Sixers and Doc Rivers. So what does that really mean? Because they're the Sixers and Doc Rivers. But, I don't think he's a bad option. I just think, Dev, to your point, I think he's in that third tier. He's not all NBA as a point guard. And I think Luka's no doubtedly an all NBA player. First or second team more than likely. Although this year I think that'll be really interesting to see between Ja, Luka, and Steph, kind of how they rank from an all NBA standpoint. But Trae's not in that conversation at this point in his career. But maybe he'll get there. So really quick, as we're starting to get kind of wind down a little bit, I do want to kind of revisit Milwaukee. 2 years ago, they wanted to fire Budenholzer. He couldn't get it done. There was concerns about Giannis. Would he try and force his way out? He signs the 5-year max extension. They go win the finals. They brought in Drew Holiday as well. This year, they brought in Serge Ibaka. That proved to be pretty useless as he wasn't playing in the playoffs. Grayson Allen didn't really show up. Pat Connaughton's a guy. They traded away DiVincenzo. Middleton's getting older. Holiday's getting older. Brook Lopez is getting older. A lot of decisions for Milwaukee, but clearly I believe they have the best player in the world. What do you do if you're Milwaukee? Do you run it back? Do you try and make moves with Bobby Portis? You got valuable pieces, young pieces, cheap pieces, but something has to be done. So I'll start with you, Dev. What should Milwaukee do to get back to the finals?
I just think they're gonna have to run it back. I don't think Milwaukee is like a city, a destination that everybody wants to go to. Really. Even though Giannis won a championship there, but they still a low market team, in my opinion. I don't really see who else they can really bring there that can really stay, that can help them stay alive in the East. At least not right now. I don't know about that cap space. Also, if they even have enough cap to even bring a big name star over there. If Kyrie is available, maybe Kyrie. Maybe I don't know how he will fit with Giannis. Like he like to play iso ball a little bit, and Budenholzer the more of a swing the ball type guy, coach, in my opinion. I think the best decision for the Bucks is to try to bring those pieces back as much as you possibly can. I don't know about Serge Ibaka. I think Ibaka was just to try to a band-aid for PJ Tucker. Because they thought he can bring a good key physical presence down in that paint. While Lopez was gone during that, extended time. But yeah, I think they only key pieces to try to bring the pieces that they have now is that best option, in my opinion.
Okay. I'm with that. Kenny, what you got?
I think that they have to. I think they run it back, but they got to tweak the roster a little bit. I think they need to get some more firepower coming off the bench. I think you got a lot of guys but you don't really have a guy that you could kind of like a Jamal Crawford type, like a Jordan Clarkson type, like a Josh Hart type, like that type of guy. I think that's what they're missing. Is like a playmaker or a guy that can catch fire, that you can throw in there, and when Giannis needs a break or when one of those guys are down, that you kind of get some more firepower from. So another guy that can shot creator, or somebody that can go get his. So I think that's what they're missing. I think they're missing a spark off the bench. I think they kind of tried, a little bit. Connaughton is okay. But I think they need one more to go along with him, and I just think they need more of a scorer because he's more of a set, a spot up guy that's going to catch and shoot. But I think they need a guy that they can bring off the bench that's going to be able to make it happen, whether it's in the isolation, whether it's in the ball screen, or whether he's able to get going. Even like a Lou Williams type, like that type of in that mold of that type of guy. I think that's what they're missing is a six man they could bring in and that can bring them some more offensive firepower. But I think you got to run it back. I think that's your only option, and that you tweak that bench and you try to upgrade that bench and see if you could bring somebody in of that caliber that you can, that could be a fire plug for you.
Okay, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, I said it when they won. My big thing, and it's no shot at Giannis because he's all round, he's all world. I love every part of his game. I love his person. I think he's a great individual, but I said last year, I hope every Milwaukee fan enjoys this group winning a championship because I don't think this group specifically is going to do it again. I just don't. I think, Middleton, obviously the injury, caused by Alex Caruso because Grayson Allen wants to be a jackass. But, hey, is what it is. But I think, him aging and just kind of digressing in that way as a real number two on a championship team isn't really realistic going 2 to 3 years forward. True Holiday, kind of same situation. He's just kind of in that role player type atmosphere. And I think he still does his job, but he's just a facilitator. And I think you really do need, like you said, Ray, when you look at a 5 versus a 5, it's kind of a problem because you look at it and you go, okay, what's Holiday going to offer me? What's Bobby Portis going to offer me? What are these guys going to be able to do in a 7-game series? And that's where the conversation really grows because it's like, I understand you can be a top 5 seed, 100%. You know what I mean? But it's going to come down to it. You could beat Chicago, no problem. You could beat all these other teams that are first-round exits, Cleveland, Brooklyn, whatever you got to do because Brooklyn was kind of short-staffed as well. But when you really get down to the nitty-gritty of things like Milwaukee and what that meant last year, it was a lot bigger. So you're looking at Miami and how they restocked and they reloaded. You're looking at Boston. The Derek White trade was huge. And I even told Penny about it. That was a huge trade that nobody cared about. And I was shocked that nobody said it. They got him for a bag of Skittles from the Spurs, which is we got the same thing for DeMar, so I'm not even tripping. But it's like, to me, I think this group just needs to be retooled, not rebuilt, but retooled. I think it's way too early to say they need to be rebuilt. I think it's way, way too early. But I think, like you guys said, with the bench especially, that whole bench can go, I feel like, in my eyes. Like, that whole bench, if every single one of those bench players wants to leave at the end of the year, I'm kind of like, yeah, that's okay. Cool. That's fine. Who cares? But, like, there's a bunch of these guys in free agency. And like Drew said, I think Kyrie's a very interesting conversation, and I don't know how exactly financially that would work. I imagine it would be a sign and trade, something with Holiday or Middleton or whatever. and probably a bunch of picks. But at this point, why would Milwaukee even need those picks? Because even if they don't win a championship, they're never going to be a top 10 team in the lottery. That's just not going to happen. We're not with Giannis. And it's like, I think that Kyrie option, I never thought of it like that, but that Kyrie option would actually be really interesting to me.
I don't see that fit personally.
I don't see that happening either.
I don't see the possibility. I don't think Kyrie's an upgrade over Holiday for that offense. I think Middleton's a piece you can dangle, and I think there's a bunch of potential wing options. I was just looking whether it's Gary Harris. I replace him with Zach LaVine. If Zach LaVine's your third best player, I think that's pretty solid.
Do me a favor, Ray. Do me a favor, Ray. Don't say that ever again. Don't do that.
About to get that man in his feelings.
Don't do that. Hey, take him out west. I don't care. Forget about it.
Get that man in his feelings.
Take him out west.
You don't even got to go far.
Take him out west. Take him to LA. I don't care.
And to your point, Mike, I think the bench, there's a lot of replacements available as I kind of look through the potential free agents, whether it's you going and getting someone like Schroeder, who I think could be a good fit. Mm-hmm. Kendrick Nunn would be back out there. Lou Williams would be out there. I know somebody had mentioned him. Bruce Brown. There's a lot of those kind of guys that I think you can look at. Nicholas Batum can play a role in that kind of offense. So I think there will be options. Now their salary cap situation is not great. If you can move someone, I do try to move Middleton. He's a two-time All-Star. I think you get more value for him at this point in his career, but I don't think running it back gets you where you need to get, because I think Brooklyn will definitely take a step forward one way or another. I think Boston will only get better. I don't think Tatum and Brown are anywhere near going down in their career, and they're in a similar position where they're going to be able to get some pieces available. And I disagree with you, Dev. I agree that Milwaukee is not a destination, but I think Giannis is a destination. I think when you talk about even someone like Melo that went through what the Lakers went through this year, I think there are veterans, and I think there are other people that taking politics and the city of Wisconsin out of it and all the issues that they've been having as a basketball team, I think there's a lot of people that would want to go play there. I think Ibaka was one, but I think there are other people that would like to go there. And I think that's to their benefit. And Giannis isn't going anywhere. He signed a long extension. So it's not like I'm going to be Kevin Love and get stuck in Cleveland when LeBron and Kyrie leave. Like, Giannis is in for the long haul. And I don't think that can be understated. And his value is immense. And he's in the prime of his career. So if I'm any of those potential veterans, we see it each year where quite a few veterans go somewhere. Demarcus Cousins, I know I've talked about him. I was really impressed by him this year. They let him go. Say it again.
I said they let him go.
I know. And I think they, in hindsight, probably shouldn't have did that.
A lot of teams that shouldn't let him go.
So I think his issue is health. Anytime I've seen him play in the last 5 years, he's played well. He just can't condition and stay healthy. So I definitely think there's lots of options for Milwaukee. I think Budenholzer, he's safe, obviously. So it will be definitely curious to see what decisions they make and who does and doesn't get re-signed. Brunson is going to be a hot ticket item. There's a number of people. Rondo, if he gets his situation together. Austin Rivers, Hassan Whiteside, like Victor Oladipo might.
Austin Rivers, that would be good. I would definitely look at him if I'm Milwaukee, because he's that type of guy. He's that combo guy that can, that can get hot and go, that's a streaky guy that can get you a few buckets here and there. Because I think what they need is shot creators. Like, they got a lot of guys that need you to get the ball to them, whether it's the Grayson Allens, or the Connaughtons or the, even the George Hills of the world. They can't create shots for other people, but they can, knock down open looks. So I think that's what they need, a shot creator.
And that brings me to the next name I was actually about to read is Malik Monk, who I think will be available. I think he's going to be hotly contested. He's definitely earned himself some money, but I think there will be options. So it'll be very, very curious to see how this all plays out. And obviously the draft and where some of those lesser teams choose to go young might allow some veterans to fall to some of these other locations. So we got about 15 minutes left. And we had some fights this weekend. We had some talk this weekend. John Ennis talked about a big fish, wants to go hunting. Big Fish said, be careful what you wish for. But Jermell Charlo got it done. I said I was watching early. He looked great. He came in 2 pounds under. He looked sharp. He looked fast. He kept dropping his left hand, which is very problematic if you want to fight some of the bigger punchers. But he ate punches. He gave punches. I thought he missed an opportunity. I think it was like the 6th round to really put his foot on the gas.
Yeah, it was like the 7th round.
Yeah, 7th
Yeah.
round.
And I was in here yelling, like, what are you doing? Like, you hurt him and you backing off. But he got the knockout. He got the stoppage, rightfully so. And he's now undisputed at 154. So my question is, y'all, one, your thoughts on his performance. What does he do next? I don't think there necessarily needs to be a rematch per se, but I thought it was an entertaining fight. I just don't know if Castagna has enough power to get him out of there. So based on what y'all saw, what did you think? I'll start with you, Devin.
Like we just stated, I think Charlo, once the 7th round kicked in, that's when he actually pretty much, in my opinion, figured him out. And that's when he started, in my opinion, started wailing on Castino, in my opinion. And yeah, like you said, he did drop his left hand way too many times. And I thought that was going to cost him some points when he kept dropping his left hand. But once he got to the 7th round, he pretty much figured him out. And I think that fight should have been over maybe about the 9th round if he really could have stuck to it. But he got it done in the 10th round, and he showed that he's capable. He's something. He's something to watch for. I don't know who can his next opponent should be, but he is most definitely something entertaining to watch for, and he's gonna be one of the greats.
Agreed. Kenny?
Yeah, I just think I was just really impressed with the fact that he just really just like systematically broke him down. He just started early going to the body, and I think that early investment in the body really paid off towards the the second half of the fight, because you could just see that his punches were starting to just have that much more effect. And I think we saw kind of similar to in the second fight, that he was the more effective, and he was the more impactful puncher, because you could see that jab. He really established that jab. That jab started to swell up his Castano's eye. But I got to give Castano credit though, because that was really an entertaining fight, and he really brought it to Charlo. And like y'all said, because he was dropping that left hand, he was able to get some shots in, and he was able to, catch him with some of those straight right hands. And you could kind of see Castano's game plan was to try to steal rounds. He was trying to, get busy towards the tail end of the rounds and try to steal rounds with his activity. But you just saw that he definitely had no power in terms of the power display. It wasn't even close in terms of, with him and Charlo. Charlo was clearly the stronger and the bigger fighter in terms of bringing the power. So it's just like to Devin's point, I don't know what's left for him at junior middleweight. I don't really see a lot of challenges out there for him, because he's already taken care of Castano and Harrison. I don't see much there. So now the question is, does he move up to middleweight? Where his brother is, and we know they already said that they're not going to fight each other. So it's going to be really curious. I'm really curious to see what his next steps are.
So I agree with you on. I think the next steps is if I'm in his corner, just go on a run at 154. Like you said, I don't think there's a lot there. I think he can still get some of the big fights if Triple G might have to come down from 160 potentially. If he doesn't fight his brother, I think Tim Tszyu is a fight that makes sense.
That's probably about it. Yeah.
I like
Fundora. I don't even know who Fundora. I haven't seen him fight, so I couldn't tell you.
He's a tall, skinny guy, but he be going to work. Sebastian Fundora. He's been on ESPN quite a lot. I don't think he's in Charlo's class. I think that'd be too big of a step up for him. So for that reason, I honestly think Charlo hangs out at 154. He made weight pretty comfortably. Erickson Lubin's out there, but I don't really want to see that per se. And you talked about Harrison; he's already beat. So I think Jared Hurd at one point I would have wanted to see that, but he hasn't shown me he's of that caliber. So I think you run 154 for a while until someone comes. Maybe you move up at some point. But like you said, with his brother at 160, I don't really see the point in him moving out of this class. The same issue, I don't know with Spence. Would he ever move up to 154 because Charlo's there? So I think they have it set up where they could run from 147 to 160. That Texas stable locks them all up, undisputed across the board potentially, unless someone else would want to come down. But I was impressed with how. But no, well that doesn't work. He's retired. Damien, that's not gonna work. But no, I think to your point, unfortunately, there's not a great fight at 154, and I don't know going up if that's the answer for him either, and I definitely don't think he's going down. So, I mean, I wouldn't hate to see if Spence fought Crawford and Crawford fought Charlo after that, depending on who won. I wouldn't hate it, but I just think you got to kind of cool out and run that division for a while. The other fight was at 147. I believe probably the most competitive, complete division in boxing. 130 is there. Middleweight's okay, but 147 to me is the division. And Boots Ennis, he's almost like Mike Tyson. If you come to see him, you better get there early. Like he's
because I ain't even get the chance to see his dad match, man.
Yeah, like it was funny because we were sitting here watching, and before his fight, Steven Jackson was there. Like people were there for the first fight that came on because I believe they knew we want to see him. So whether Earl Spence was there early, like a lot of the celebrities were in place in the first fight to make sure that they saw Ennis, and he didn't disappoint. Wasn't the best knockout. It was kind of behind the head, but you saw the power. You saw what he's capable of. So I am excited to see really what could come for him. I think he's going to have to wait out that Spence Crawford fight, and I think that's fair. I think we talked about it before. Ugas or Thurman make a lot of sense for me. Him, Stanionis, I think would also be a good step up. I like him. I
wouldn't mind seeing him against Garcia.
I wouldn't mind seeing that. You're talking Danny, not Mikey, right?
Yeah, Danny.
Either one.
No, not Mikey. Too small.
All right.
Because I mean, I think at this point you gotta. I think his next fight has to be a step up fight. I think you kind of
like in Philly. So I can see that.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I think you got to do someone in that caliber to kind of to build your resume. And I think I think Garcia is still he's still a name. He still has some some cachet. And between him, Thurman, and Ugas, I think those are the three options that you have to kind of to pad your resume, because I think that's what's next for him.
Fair enough. What about you, Dev? What should or what do you think Ennis does next?
That's another weight class that he might have to just sit and wait for another opportunity to come to him. Danny Garcia would be a good match, as Kenny say, but I don't really think. I think Boots would get that done. I ain't gonna say he would get it done as fast as he would normally, as Ray would say, but I don't think Danny Garcia is really of a good match for him. I think that would be almost not a walk in the park, but I don't think we would get as good. I don't think we would get a good show with Danny Garcia, and I really just can't really think of nobody in that class other than maybe Spence Crawford. Somewhere around that.
I think Ugas will give him a good fight.
Yeah. But other than
Ugas, I would love to see him, and I know he's retired. I think Sean Porter would be a good stylistic matchup for him to become more well-rounded. Like the way.
What's the weight class Muhammad Ali grandson is in?
I think he's 130.
Yeah, I think he's
130s. Okay.
Yeah,
he ain't ready.
Yeah, he needs time.
I'm not saying like right away, but I'm talking about maybe another 2 years from now. If he was in that weight class, maybe. I'm not talking about this year or next year, because that wouldn't be fair to him. But maybe like a 2-year span if he was in that weight class.
But I think, Ray, to your point, that I think what's next for Ennis is he's got to be taken into the deep waters. Like, we got to see how he's going to survive or have to make an adjustment mid-fight. I think that's what's next for him, because he's been taking guys out. I think we got to see him over a hard 12 rounds and see how he responds to adversity.
Right.
And that's why I said I would like to see him inverse someone like Sean Porter.
Yeah,
because he's going to be
yes
all over.
Absolutely.
And he would have to figure him out and get him out of there. But Sean says he's done. So I think Ugas or Thurman are the next crop, which would be a big jump. I think Danny's would be his toughest competition. I just think he probably gets Danny out by 7 or 8. And I don't know what Danny is anymore, because his last fight wasn't the best for me.
Yeah, see, that's why I said I don't think Danny would be a good fight. I think he would. I ain't gonna say demolish him, but I don't say it would. I don't think it will move him up in the rankings. Fighting Danny, really, especially if you get Danny out.
I just think he would be a guy that would give him rounds. I think that's what we need to see from Ennis, is just see him, just really in a hard fought, a tough, 8 to 12 round fight.
Yeah. And we saw that with, I forget the heavyweight that was knocking everybody out in the first round. But once he finally went the distance, he looked a little different. And I can't, his name escapes me at the moment. But definitely some fights to be had. Speaking of heavyweight, there's some decisions that need to be made at that level, with Fury retiring allegedly, I guess. So now we turn our attention to this week. We have David Benavidez to follow up the Charlo fight, and I'm a Benavidez fan. I'm excited to see. I don't think David Lemieux is around long, to be perfectly honest. And I would like to see Benavidez fight someone like Caleb Plant after this. He needs to get back active after the loss to Canelo, which we saw they're in different classes. So I think that would be
I think he acquitted himself well, though.
He was I think he lasted.
He was competitive.
Yeah, I'll give you that. So I hopefully I haven't heard an announcement from him, but he needs to get back. And it was Edgar Berlanga is who I was thinking about.
Berlanga, I figured that's what you was talking about.
Yeah. So big fight this weekend, and follow that up with Gervonta Davis, which that'll
4-1-0, baby.
What'd you say?
4-1-0, baby.
You know he gonna
yeah,
stand up
yeah.
for his.
You know I'm gonna be tuned in that weekend.
I'm surprised you ain't gonna drive up the road. I think it's in Madison Square Garden, or it's Barclays. We would look.
It's in Barclays. Nah, I ain't going. You know, I ain't doing all that New York traveling. So he come back home though. I'm most definitely gonna be there.
Yeah. So we'll start preparing for that. We got some great basketball. Games one probably will be played by Friday. So we'll definitely be covering any basketball talk.
We'll be starting tomorrow, right?
Yeah, I think Wednesday. Because the lottery it's either tomorrow or Wednesday. I know the lottery's tomorrow. So I think it's Wednesday.
Okay. I think you're right. I was trying to pull it up. Yeah, it looks like it is Wednesday. It's going to be tough. Let me see when you go to Wednesday. I think it is. Yeah, just one game.
No, we got one Tuesday. We got the Celtics playing Tuesday.
They play.
Got Celtics
so that's right after that's right after the lottery. Then gotcha.
Tomorrow at 8:30.
They playing at 8:30.
Okay.
Okay. Cool. Well, I guess yeah. Well, so let's get to it. Game one. Who y'all got? Celtics Heat.
Celtics.
No, I think the Heat win. Yeah, I think the Heat win game one, and then the Celtics still game two.
I'm going Celtics. I think they ride the wave, they get it done, and they still won early, and then Miami would bounce back. Damian going Heat, so we'll definitely see about that. Mm-hmm. And we would have the Warriors game on Wednesday, so I'm going to go Warriors. I think they come out. I think they make a statement. I think Kerr will have them ready. I will be very curious to see how they play Luca, whether they go zone. We saw a little bit of zone in the Memphis series, but you got to rebound out of the zone. And Golden State out-rebounded Memphis, who was the best rebounding team. So I think that speaks to the effort. But I got Golden State in game one, and I got Boston. Dev, who you got in the Golden State series?
I got Golden State.
Kenny?
Yeah, same. I think they went about double figures.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, we will definitely have to wait and see on that big statement early.
I think they're going to want to make a statement. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's all we got. Definitely appreciate you guys continue to keep it locked here on ASAP Network. Like, share, and subscribe. You never know when somebody might go live. Freddie went live last night. That was quite entertaining. Unless you were a Phoenix Suns fan, then definitely not the entertainment you're looking for. But thanks again for tuning in, and catch y'all on Friday at 9. We out.
Whole sports all plays. Yeah. Whole sports all plays. Whole sports all plays.